Café Networking Podcast promotes successful business experts. I'm Tom Reaoch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people throughout the world from my studio in Brazil. And today we talk with Sue Bowles. She's a master certified life coach, speaker, and author. She's joining us from Columbus, Ohio in the United States. Sue empowers and equips adults dissatisfied with life, helping stuck people get unstuck. On her site, she says it's never too late to discover a new skill, career, identity, purpose, and direction. So, Sue, how can we get unstuck?
Tom, that's a great question, and thank you for having me on. I think we tend to get stuck when we lose sight of ourselves, when we lose touch with ourselves. And I go back to this point because if we want to get unstuck, we first need to figure out how we got stuck. And a lot of that comes from maybe trying to be a people pleaser and setting ourselves aside. Maybe it's from not having strong boundaries. Maybe it's from not knowing our real identity. And identity isn't what we do. Identity is based on our values. And then what we do becomes an expression of those values. So even reframing how we think about habits and behaviors helps us get unstuck. But again, losing sight of those things is what gets us stuck. Maybe we have just lost vision. Life has thrown a lot at us. And,
wow, it's every day.
Sometimes you just have to survive.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But if we only stay in survival mode, we don't get onto living, because living incorporates an active, being active, actively involved, actively searching for things, actively growing. And all of those things come into getting us unstuck. In my work with my coaching clients, what I have heard repeatedly that I've been able to boil down is that the root cause of being stuck is feeling like you don't matter, feeling that I just don't matter. I don't have anything to offer.
It's the nobody cares syndrome.
Yes, exactly. And what we have done now, just in the last couple of weeks, we have launched, it's going to be an international movement called the Dare to Believe movement. And with that, we are challenging people to take a dare. And it's dare to believe that you matter. And when we talk about that, we talk about what does it mean when someone dares you to do something? They're challenging you to do something out of your comfort zone that maybe you really don't want to do, don't think you can do, but someone thinks you can do it. And I am here as that voice of the Dare to Believe movement because I believe every person can do something more. So even within that movement, and this is part of how we're getting people unstuck, we're talking about courage. We're talking about fear. We're talking about self-talk, the things we tell ourselves. Right there, the I don't matter is considered self-talk. So we talk about that.
Well,
Safety,
I think that's that point I feel is maybe the major challenge of getting yourself stuck is just self-talk. You convince yourself that it's going to rain, it's going to get muddy, and you're never going to get out of it.
Right.
And then it starts raining, you say, well, see, I told you, right? But you never get out of the puddle.
Right. And we can't do it alone. Nobody can get fully unstuck on your own. Right. You didn't get stuck on your own. You're not going to get unstuck on your own. Some of what we do with the Dare to Believe movement is having the hard conversations with ourselves and with others, and coming to understand who we really are. How has God shaped us? How are we? How has He designed us? And what does that mean? So all of those things are going into helping people get unstuck. In my one-on-one coaching clients, I meet my clients where they are. And we talk about where
they're stuck.
Where they are, and when we talk about where they are stuck and how they got stuck and where they want to go, because when they come to me, just like the website says, they are dissatisfied with where their life is now, and that tells me that they have a sliver of hope that something can change. And I'm a hope coach. I fan that hope into flame.
And that's across the ages, right? The young people today are they feel stuck even before starting.
Yeah, very much so. I worked 8 years on the college campus, so I understand the young adult age. I did high school youth ministry. I've worked, in the corporate world, so I understand all of those different angles. But I've been able to also strip it down to these common denominators we've been talking about. No matter how you get to that point, that is
Mm,
where you end up with those different common denominators and struggles. So when a client comes to me, we talk about where they are and
mhm,
what they're dissatisfied with,
mhm.
where they want to go, and we start breaking it down of what's the next step you're willing to take.
Right,
My company name is My Step Ahead. You
right.
only have to be a step ahead to help the person behind you. So I have a client who a couple years ago, social anxiety during the pandemic was very high, very concerned about going out of his own apartment, but
Mhm,
wanted to schedule coffee with some friends.
mm,
So we broke that down to, first of all, making contact with them, and then
mm.
to see the smile on his face and the sense of
Right.
accomplishment of just doing that. That was a victory we
Yeah, the
celebrated.
first step. First step.
Yeah. And then after making contact and scheduling something, it was keeping the appointment because there was fear of, I don't know what to talk about. What if
Right.
there's a lot of silence? And we
Uh,
just continued to work it through. This gentleman is now leading a small group at his church. Those are the things that we do to help people get unstuck, is to find the one place where they want to feel what's one small piece of
mhm.
momentum. And then we help them experience it. And we keep building on it from there to get them where they want to go.
Very good. So tell me just a little bit. When you mentioned identity,
Mhm.
all right, that's sort of a very encompassing word.
Yes.
But that brought me to the word reputation.
Mm,
Are they the same? Are they similar? Do they walk
different.
together?
Reputation is what other people think about you.
Hmm.
Identity is who you are. And all of us, when we look in the mirror, probably know that we wear a mask to
Hmm.
make someone think that we're someone that we really aren't. So our reputation is what we have, picture we have painted for other people. Now, at the same time, that reputation could also be reflective of your character.
Hmm.
But again, that is all stemming from who you are and how you behave. So it really depends on how, if you're looking at reputation of how many followers you have on Facebook, that's one thing. But if
Hmm.
you're looking at reputation in terms of how does someone esteem me? How does someone view me? What are the character traits that this person is seeing me
And
display?
to the values that you mentioned.
Yes, and the values. Yeah. So it depends on what type of reputation you're looking for. But it comes down to your character, which is defined by your identity, because that, again, when you know your values and your identity, then behavior becomes an expression of that.
So when we're stuck, we just can't wait for things to dry out, right?
No, no, because when you're stuck, it means you're dissatisfied. And it's a matter of what you're going to do with that dissatisfaction. Are you going to use that as the impetus and catalyst to pick up the phone and find a coach,
Hmm.
or to get some therapy, or whatever the issue is, or to find a place to volunteer just to get out of your own head?
Good
There's so
idea.
many
Good
different
idea.
ways, so many different ways you can get unstuck,
Right.
because a lot of times when we're stuck looking at ourselves,
Hmm.
and whatever we can do to start broadening our horizon. And sometimes, like I said, it's just volunteering. And that could be any
Anywhere.
way that
Right.
anywhere in any way that you want to help.
Right.
Search the internet. There's somewhere in your town right now that would love to have you volunteering. And that alone can help you get unstuck.
Not a will, and I think too that when we look out in today's world, and that's everywhere. That's the whole world. There are so
Hmm.
many people in need, and offering service as a volunteer. I
Correct.
think it's one of the better ways to develop your relationships, to develop your skills
Hmm.
in relating to
Oh
people,
yeah,
to difference,
yeah.
to and I think that's the point. So why you're not going to make any? You shouldn't make anything. It shouldn't be
Right,
how much am I going to make?
right.
That's self. That's back to your self-esteem. Do it,
Hmm.
and that's where I
Right.
think, and I've seen that many people start realizing the value they have, and they didn't know they had it.
Hmm. And that's the joy of coaching. That's the joy of this Dare to Believe movement that we've launched. And that website for people who are interested is daretobelievemovement.com. They can go there and sign up for the updates, and we're getting ready to roll out a whole lot of stuff to that. But that's the joy, is watching people start experiencing
Hmm.
the change they want to see that they don't think can happen. And that's my role as a coach, is to help you experience the success that you want, that you don't think you can see.
Right.
But I can see it in you, and my job as your coach is to help you see it for yourself.
And that's what I do. I can see that it helps, and when someone gets the help, it makes a big difference. So, Sue, how can our listeners find you?
Sure. Best place, again, if you want more information on Dare to Believe, go to daretobelievemovement.com. And then for me as a coach, it's SueBowles.com. You can find everything about my book on there. Contact me if you like some coaching. Coaching is, being virtual, coaching is international. I just had a client in Australia.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem.
It's just, the only problem is figuring out time zones, and that's not a problem.
And we will make that work. So I'm happy to talk to anybody who'd be interested in coaching to get them where they want to get to go.
Very good. So thanks again, Sue.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Tom.
And for our audience, it's Sue Bowles, and the first name is S-U-E, the last name B-O-W-L-E-S. And you'll find her at SueBowles.com. And her book, The Much I Know, The Space Between, you'll find that on Amazon. Café and Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at www.focusmi.com. Thanks for listening until the next time here at Café and Networking Podcast.